in entertainment and sport. What was the reason why you went into that direction?
There are two reasons. First, real estate is a money spinner, but it cannot be sustainable and not stable. Therefore, we need to transition. Secondly, after development, we noticed that in China in particular, people with money will go for health and entertainment. So entertainment is something that makes you happy. Sport is something that makes you healthy. And therefore, I've gone into tourism, sport, and entertainment.
Movie theatres and that old pastime, that is an old way of consuming film, that more people will want to consume entertainment at home, not in movie theatres.
No.
This is something I debated this with Mr. Mali 5 years ago, because he said mobile phone will replace cinemas. But it's been proven that in China, cinemas are growing very fast in China. In 2015, about 12,000 more screens. In 2016, there's 15,000 more screens added. It's got the most number of screens in the world. In the last 5 years, the growth was about 30% each year. But this is not the same traditional cinemas now. The cinemas in China are all in large shopping malls. There aren't standalone ones anymore. And they don't just show films. There are much about experience. For example, you can listen to audio and much fun element to it. So cinemas are no longer the same concept. And in shopping malls in China, they are going in the direction of providing entertainment, providing experience. Shopping is reducing in its proportion of the business. So in China, you see that you go into shopping centers to buy entertainment. So cinemas have very good income there.
You can't take a girlfriend to a mobile phone to watch a movie. On entertainment in China, in every country, if you own entertainment programs, you often have problems with the government. You produce a show they don't like. How do the relationship, what has been your experience with the Chinese government when it comes to entertainment?
Well, screening is not a problem, but content production will be examined, censored, because we all know in China there's a censor system. We also are involved in producing films. But it is much more relaxed censorship. It's not like in the past. There are now things impossible to imagine in the past, but screened today. Hollywood films, for example, good blockbusters and arty films from abroad can be screened in China, and also films in China is the same. In other words, there is censor, but it's much more relaxed. And recently, 3 months ago, there was a circular saying that censorship will be devolved to regions and not centralized as before.
I think on the number of American films or foreign films that can be shown in China, I think it's sort of 34 films a year. Would you like an open market? Would you like that limit to go?
Well, there are two types of control. One is 34 million films. These are blockbusters. In other words, the investment is over $100 million US. There are only 34. Basically, this is money handed over to the US. Out of 34, most of it is American. So most people in China watch American films, not much of British or French or German. The next thing is buy up rights. In other words, there's less investment, but we can buy up the rights of distribution in China. This is more of the arty type of films. about a few dozens of that category. So that's the overall control. But there's a new model now known as joint production. There's no limit. In other words, the foreign companies working together with Chinese companies to produce films, as long as the Chinese investment is more than 30%, and the cast contains at least one or two Chinese actors, then these films will not be on the control list. As many as you can.
Example, to own an American movie studio, all those films would be okay.
如果
If it's co-production, there's no control already. There's a company known as Legend. They've just launched a film called The Great Wall. That film is not on the control list because it's a co-production. Any American companies, as long as you have a co-production, as long as the Chinese investment is more than 30%, it'll be fine.
I think there is something special about Chinese film. You look at some countries are very good at producing film. You know, France began it, then America took over with Hollywood. You now have India with Bollywood. What is the special thing about Chinese entertainment? Do you think there is something culturally different about Chinese film?
中国当然
Of course, China has something special. Chinese films focused on the emotional aspect. Hollywood is all about the big scale screening. The US saving the world, that type. In China, we don't see films of China saving the world. The story is not made up yet. Chinese films tend to talk about emotions, relationship between people. So China has something special, but there is something to watch for. More and more Chinese prefer to see domestically produced films. I see that trend already. For example, Japan, Korea, and India, they don't limit import films. Any Hollywood movies go in, but in Japan, Korea, and India, Hollywood movies are not the dominant ones. So Chinese prefers to see Chinese films. I think that's going to be a trend. So if Hollywood wants to take up a large market share, they need to learn how to cater to Chinese tastes, not just those super people.
Of Chinese film that could be exported to the world, that would work outside China?
哎，我们
Well, The Great Wall is the first attempt. The Legends production invested 150 million US dollars. That's a big scale thing. That's the first attempt of a Chinese movie.